Hello, everyone. I'd like to thank the Norwegian Atlantic Committee for inviting me to speak today. Since I only have 8 minutes, I'll jump right in. The question I want to think about today is, how should we understand China's grand strategy and its influence operations? Previous panelists probably have talked about soft power and how the concept has been very popular in China for the past decade or so. To me, the most interesting thing about soft power's definition is how it's changed in China. It's expanded from Nye's notion of cultural attraction and persuasion to also include what Nye would see as the hard power of economic aid. So the Belt and Road Initiative is a soft power project not just because it tells a good story about China as a generous and technologically advanced nation. It's also soft power because economic power is soft power to Beijing. Sharp power is also interesting because it highlights how authoritarian countries can use the open society of democratic countries to undermine them through information warfare that sows confusion and distrust. But to understand China's grand strategy and its influence activities, I think we need to go beyond the Western concepts of soft and sharp power to see how Chinese elites understand their activities through their own concepts of propaganda and united fronts work. So what is propaganda? Many people actually ask, aren't all media propaganda? Don't they just promote different political perspectives? This makes me think of a story I heard about how in the early 1980s, an official Chinese delegation visited New York. And the first question they asked was, how does the Democratic Party control the New York Times? It was actually an honest question. The Chinese officials knew how the CCP controlled the Chinese media, and they wanted to know how propaganda worked in America. To me, this shows two very different ideal types of the news media, not the reality necessarily, but the ideal types of the news media. In the liberal ideal type, there is freedom of speech in a marketplace of ideas, which leads to lots of different perspectives. In a socialist system, on the other hand, it's the job of the Communist Party to control the media, using it to criticize the party's enemies and to celebrate the party's successes. It's common for people to say that xuanquan, the Chinese word for propaganda, is actually a positive word in Chinese. It's not a negative word, and it's more like public relations than propaganda. But to me, this argument doesn't appreciate that propaganda in China is in a different media ecosystem that is tightly controlled by the party. So while Trump criticizes the New York Times for criticizing him, Xi Jinping never has to complain about the People's Daily because his party owns it and controls it, as well as almost all the other media in China. This might sound very Cold War, but when you study Chinese politics, you see that the party works in a very Cold War style to divide people up into friends who are to be exploited and enemies who are to be destroyed. To grasp China's grand strategy, it's also necessary to understand the concept and practice of united front work. As Anne-Marie Brady's research shows, we need to understand that it's not some traditional Chinese concept. It's not a cultural thing. It's a political thing. It's a very modern communist concept first proposed by Lenin in the 1920s. The idea is that communists unite with others, other parties, other non-party elements, on a temporary basis to fight against a shared enemy. So the Chinese Communist Party worked with the Nationalist Party to unite to fight Japan in World War II. But after the war, the CCP united with leftists in China to fight the KMT in the Civil War. So we should remember that united front work is not about debate in civil society or party politics in parliament. Rather, it's a method for life or death ideological struggle, where friends today will be enemies tomorrow. In foreign policy, united front work targets overseas Chinese people and non-Chinese foreigners to build networks with the CCP. For non-Chinese foreigners, Confucius Institutes and the Chinese media are spreading Beijing's message on the world stage. The goal is to co-opt foreign elites in politics, business, media, and entertainment. For example, Huawei shaped the debate in the United Kingdom through elite capture. It hired lots of newly retired British politicians to argue its case with their old friends who are still in government. The Belt and Road Initiative is also not just an economic project. but it's a united front project that works to curry favor with foreign elites in politics, business, academia, and culture. This promotes Beijing's grand strategy to entrench Chinese norms of global governance, including cyber governance, while promoting the PRC's model of economics and society. The objective of United Front work thus is to guide, buy, and coerce political influence abroad. Now we can ask, does it work? It doesn't work all the time, but there are many examples of, for example, the Belt and Road Initiative's foreign policy influence. Greece vetoed EU criticism of Chinese human rights problems, and Cambodia keeps ASEAN from discussing the South China Sea disputes. While soft power is about attraction and persuasion, I think it's better to understand China's actions in terms of the CCP's own concept of united front work. Its logic is that China won't get influence through people sharing the CCP's ideas or ideology. Rather, the party needs to gain influence abroad by buying media platforms, monitoring Chinese citizens, and co-opting foreign leaders. The CCP is concerned with China's image abroad. This assumes that China has a communications problem, that is, that people don't correctly understand the PRC's various achievements. But what if people abroad understand what China is doing and still don't like it, still don't agree with it? Then it's not a public relations problem, it becomes a political question. To address this, I hope the US and Europe can look to the positive things that unite them culturally, politically, and economically in order to formulate a measured policy towards China that addresses economic and political issues. Thank you.